Alright guys, welcome back, Fingers Crossed Motorsports. Uh, some of this video is going to be a little bit of a reiteration of some of the last video. I know we're going to be rebuilding a 4G63 head, pretty much whole top end. Rob's Eclipse has some cracked valve guides. But until then, we're going to talk a little bit more about stuff I've learned with my engine here. So these are my cam solenoids for its whole VVT, whatever you want to call it, system. Turns out these little cables, they're from a Lexus. These are actually used for some sort of ignition coil. Come on. Oh shit. Well, that's gone. Oh, there it is. So yeah, these were. I was worried because I couldn't find them for any cheaper than like $17 a piece, but turns out these were like $6 for 4 of them off of the good old Amazon. So that's nice. I got to redo some of this. This came out of its thing. I bought some heat shrink for all this. Gonna make sure I pin everything up all nice and neat. I don't think there's really anything else. I got my fuel lines made, some of them. These are just kind of looped here just to see really like just how they're gonna lay. I think this looks pretty good. Maybe gonna try to readjust some lengths. I got this over here kind of looped underneath this. It works. There's plenty of space. Just need to tighten everything down into my regulator. This will probably stay here. It's pretty solid. I may put it on like the firewall. I'm not sure. Either way, a lot of this can stay the same, which will work, and I have tons of that stuff. So let's see. Got my water pump situated, electric water pump, 16 AN fitting with a 16 AN hose or 1 inch, whatever you want to call it. Mind the scratches. These things are kind of a pain once they get that big to put on if you don't have a big enough wrench. This is a Davies Craig water pump. I think I've talked about this before. The factory water pump is big and crazy. It's out in the bed of my truck for scrap right now, but this will be a lot easier to work with. I definitely talked about that. I do have my upper rad hose right here. I did find, and this is pretty cool, I did find an inline thermostat housing. Just a little container, I guess, for a thermostat, which is nice because the thermostat for these engines is in the water pump. I don't know why they did that, but that's the way it is. So that'll be good. I could just put it right on the outlet? What would you call that? An outlet, right? Yeah, that outlet for before the radiator, between the engine and the radiator. So I'll have thermostat. I won't have to worry about trying to control the water pump in some weird way in order to make that work. So something else, anything else? My plans for my exhaust are not going to work the way I wanted. I got a pile of stuff here. Where'd that piece go? Here it is. So, this is the exhaust manifold. One of them. I had a spare. So I cut this up. Let me try to like rotate this here. Hopefully you guys can see me. The bad thing with this is it's not actually welded together. They kind of just put this in here, this press fit this in here, a little bit of a crimp, and then same on the other side. And then they had this shielding around it that encapsulated the whole thing and kind of caught any excess, any escaping exhaust gases. I don't know why they did this. I'm sure it was some sort of expense saving. I don't know. So this isn't going to work. Buddy and I were talking about it. He's the one that does a lot of my welding for me. the amount of work it would take to make this functionable for what I need, it just doesn't make any sense to do that. I'm sure I'll find some other stuff to talk to you guys about, so until then, give me a bit, I guess. Yeah. I think my wiring harness is done. Those are grounds. Ignore these hanging cables, they're grounds. Gotta finish up these once it's in the car, because there's a fuse box I need to run them to. But I think, as far as all the wires are concerned, it's done. I need to just hook this one in for pressure, for oil pressure, and it's good, I think. It's terrifying, actually. I flipped my regulator's housing, so this way the vacuum line faces that direction, towards where, ow, my ECU is going to be. I had to clean my garage, so that's my next project. Next up is put this back in the car. I got my starter bracket kind of getting its final things going. I got my nice grounding strap here, belts on. My fuel lines, I'll have to go ahead and tear apart the car for that, but that's up. My water pump is ready. My water neck is good. I need to get a dipstick.
Alright, so I'm going to make a real quick video here. I'm going to pull these cams out. Got to get this off to the machine shop tomorrow. So I'm just going to take these caps off and pull the cams out and then clean things up a little bit, because it's kind of filthy. At least by my standards it is. So the reason I did this the way I did it was you want to remove these in a sequence, like you would taking a wheel off of a car, because you have to remember these, while this is not, doesn't have a belt on it, there's still tension on these springs present on the with the lobes. So you want to remove this evenly so the cam lifts straight up, because if you started down here and just loosened these all the way up and the knees were still tight, the force of those springs is going to be pushing up on the cam, and it could cause damage to the actual bearing surface or to the head on the caps, or in the actual journal where the cam rides in the head. So that's kind of an important thing. It's the same as doing head studs or head bolts. You want to make sure that everything's done in order as to not cause any damage or anything. Alright, so the head's all apart. I didn't really decide to make a video of me cleaning something and putting it in a bag, because nobody wants to see that. Anyways, here are all my parts. I have everything individually bagged and labeled. And here's the intake manifold gasket. Could probably be used again, but yeah, I'm not going to, because I already ordered new ones. Yep. Everything in its place and everything organized. Very nice. Makes my OCD happy.
Guys, I did it. It works. Oh my god, it works. Okay. I successfully turned the motor with the starter. May not seem like a huge deal, but if you kind of watch the previous video about how I have to do this starter setup, it kind of makes a bit more sense. I have this janky bracket I am making to fit on this hole right here, so that the gear, engages the ring gear here. I have some wires off of it. I just applied some voltage through a battery that I have. It exploded the battery pack, so rip that thing. But it successfully turned the motor. Oh my god. I wish I had a video of it actually working. I just was trying to test if it would engage the ring gear. I didn't think it was actually going to turn the motor. but it did. You can see here it was hitting this a little bit, but other than that, everything else was fine. It worked. Oh my God, it worked. All right, engine's back in. It's on the mounts. Rear, that one's actually mounted up over there. I need to attach that to the frame somehow. Starter's in. I got my one rad hose. Ignore all the scratches. Got my upper rad hose. Had to fight with a little bit, obviously, adapts and stuff. Got my inline thermostat here, so that's good. Then I'm going to loop one of these lines from here, so that way there's like a bypass for when it's closed. Need to get a dipstick, whatever. But all the wiring is set. I need to put my fuel lines back in. I'm probably going to move this. I don't know. That'll be fine, really. Just, I don't know. I'll think about it. Need to hook up these to this little fuse box here. Okay, well, except for the throttle cable. That stays. So these up to this fuse box with the relays and everything. I have a couple more for the water pump, which is down there. Need to put out, obviously I need to clamp everything. Now I found a good spot for my power steering pump, which is going to be in this little hole here behind the bumper. Obviously I took the bumper off. I'm going to put it right here. Probably hang it on this rail. I don't know. Still playing around with that one. That one's going to take a little bit of extra time. But it's almost ready, guys. It is almost ready. I don't know if you guys saw, sun's right in my face. I don't know if you guys saw, I don't know if I posted or not, or if I put it in this video. Starter works. Huge thing. A lot of people have talked about how I'm doing this. And that's the best I could figure out. But on the plus side, it did spin the motor. It did work. Hit the block just a little bit. I clearanced it. It's okay. But hopefully now, as soon as I get a battery in the car, I can try to test fire it. So until then, fingers crossed.